Hello, YouTubers, friends, compatriots, bootlickers, shills, death slaves, search peasants, vassals, minions, meat sacks, substackers. I'm usually welcome, and today I'm going to do a video, which I'm doing right now, about the so-called October 7th attack by Hamas on Israel, the justification for the slaughter that we see going on now. And I have to admit that I was really curious when it happened because it made absolutely no sense at all why Hamas would do that. The timing was suspect, and of course, all the details about the attack are murky at best, and a lot of the claims have been debunked, and it's used, like I mentioned, for this justification of this total slaughter. And of course, one of the components we saw early on was the fact that the Israeli security apparatus, one of the best in the world on every level, failed at that moment when this Hamas attack took place. And the biggest question for me when it happened at the time, of course, was why the hell would Hamas do that? They knew that what the consequences would be. There was the 2016 so-called war between Israel and Hamas, and once again, a few hundred Israelis were killed, and something like 17,000 Palestinians were slaughtered, and a massive amount of destruction in Gaza. And Hamas had to know that if they did this, the retribution that Israel would show would be merciless and on a vast scale, and that's exactly what happened. And in an article I just read recently, it made total sense what they were saying, and that the entire October 7th Hamas attack on Israel was completely manufactured. And one of the things it discussed was the Northwoods plan by the United States in 1962, in which they were going to sacrifice the lives of hundreds, if not thousands, of Americans in order to justify military intervention in Cuba. And of course, that didn't happen, but the plan was made. It's something that they were prepared to do, and it shows how diabolical the governments are. And this is a U.S. plan. The Northwoods plan was from 1962. That was 60 years ago, and they were diabolical then. They're diabolical now, and these kind of actions are not below them by any stretch. And we had similar plans that were hatched in Europe. And of course, we had a number of major events in the United States since then, including 9/11, that are very suspicious. And that's all I'll say about that at this point. But Hamas launched this operation called Al-Aqsa Storm, and it immediately resulted in a blockade on October 9th, 2 days later. And then we've seen the complete and utter destruction of Gaza from one end to the other, reported 200,000 actual casualties, and a list of atrocities that's mind-boggling. And so the theory is, and I have to buy this, is that a Hamas faction was co-opted and bribed by Mossad to carry out this operation. And it's the only thing about it that makes sense. And I'm going to reiterate my point. Why would Hamas perpetrate that attack knowing what the results would be? And now we see those results. And it's a total justification by the psychopath Benjamin Netanyahu and the Zionist Israeli state to basically perpetrate their final solution. This is their final solution. They're going to solve the Palestinian problem once and for all, and the October 7th so-called attack was exactly the justification and rationale they needed to do this. I have no reason to doubt this at all. There isn't much documentation, but it's absolutely the only thing that makes sense. And so there you have it, food for thought. If I get any more information on this idea, I will post a video about it. But we've known all along that not only was Hamas originally created as a counteraction to the PLO and other radical Palestinian actions. It was actually created by the state of Israel. We also know that the connections between Mossad and elements in Hamas and in Palestine are solid and undeniable. And so the whole idea that Mossad created this false flag operation to instigate the Palestinian Gaza Holocaust that we are seeing now, it just seems undeniable. And once again, I have to say, I don't like to go for these hyperbolic comparisons and use a lot of vitriol and everything else, but it's just really astounding all the techniques that Israel apparently and clearly learned from Nazi Germany that they apply in Gaza and Palestine and in Israel. And I've done videos 10 years ago about that very topic. A prime example of that is we have Gaza, which is almost an exact blueprint of the Warsaw Ghetto created by the Nazis in Poland. And the Nazis in the Warsaw Ghetto actually did a calorie count. They figured out what was the minimum amount of calories to sustain the population within the ghetto, so that they could barely live, but they would get by. And Israel's doing exactly that with Gaza. I've done a video on that, all the things that are blocked and not allowed in Gaza. And Israel also does calorie counts to allow the bare amount of calories per person in Gaza in order to just sustain the very basic living, if you can call it that. Truly a world gone mad. I'm useful idiot, don't you be one too.